the puzzle of Walmart. How did Walmart or why does Walmart succeed in kicking ass in the transportation business by attracting truck drivers and keeping them happy for as long as they want? That puzzle is not only in the money that you make. In Walmart, you make more money than everybody else. I moved from Crete to Walmart. My income increased from 50,000 a year to almost 100,000 a year by just moving from one company to another. But that is not the only advantage. The biggest advantage in Walmart, there are really many advantages, but the biggest advantage is that you go home 3 nights and 2 days a week. You stay in your own bed. And that is a huge advantage, not only in terms of family circumstances. The fact that when you go home, your injuries heal. When I worked with Crete, I used to go home once a month or once every 21 days. The problem was that your injuries never heal. You don't have a chance to recover. With Crete, they do have the in-cab heater and the cooler. I think heater only, cannot cool the truck in Crete with in-cab, what do you call it? They have a cheap heater, but it doesn't cool. It keeps you warm in winter, but in summer you have to run the engine. When you run the engine, you cannot sleep quietly at night. The vibration of the engine, of the 450 horsepower engine at night, will destroy your health completely. There are days when I used to work for Crete or weeks. When my heart rate goes up, I cannot lift my arm, I cannot have a good grip, I'm always tired because of the vibration of the engine. When I left Crete, I have a very serious hip and knee injury that lasted for almost 3 months. I wasn't able to drive more than 25 miles without getting out of the truck and moving my hip, my knee, standing. It got so bad that I thought I would never be able to drive a truck again. Of course, the truck was manual transmission. Makes the problem much worse. Another problem was that I was not well experienced as a truck driver. I was 3 or 4 years in trucking. That is not enough to make you aware of every little thing that can help your health. So I used to do just manual shifting, sometimes floating gears. None of that will help you when you drive manual transmission and you are an old person, if you don't exercise. No matter what you do, when you work for cheap companies, they don't give you a break. by a break means that companies do not want you to have 34-hour reset. They want you to get off the clock when you are as the shipper or the receiver, even though you are sitting in the truck waiting for the shipper or receiver to load or unload. They want you to get off the clock so you don't burn your 70. They use that term, don't burn your 70. Why? Because they want you to drive 7 days a week, running with no break. They don't care too much about your heart, your joints, your mental state. They only care about keeping the wheels turning. That is another expression. If the wheels don't turn, you don't make money. The problem with these companies, the money that you make will never pay you for injuring your heart, your knees, and destroying your health. With Swift is notorious in staffing its safety department with people that have nothing to do but harassing the drivers. With Swift, I was suspended, 3-day suspension, 5-day suspension. I was put in probation, then I was fired for stupid stuff like flagging hours of service, getting a skill. I missed the skill 3 times in 1 year. That was the first year of my trucking career. And the 3 times, 2 of them were in New Mexico. Almost 2 of them, one was scale station, one of them was missing the scale, was in front of me. I cannot find the building. I exited the highway looking for the scale. I got a ticket looking for the scale. Where is the scale? The officer was laughing at me. He said, here is the scale next to you. Well, that doesn't look like a scale. It looks like a shack. It looks like a shack. Well, he was laughing at me, hit me with 3 tickets. He was making fun of me for missing the scale that was in front of me. Another ticket was in New Mexico for missing the scale because I exited trying to find a shortcut. The officer thought I am bypassing the scale. He said, why do I have to go to the scale if it is not on my way? The officer said, you have to read the signs. The signs tell you have to go through the scale. The last ticket for scale, missing the scale, was in Nevada, South Las Vegas. I missed the scale because I thought the scale supposed to have an electronic signaling. I missed it anyway. I was new in the tracking business. I missed the scale. I got the ticket for missing the scale. I got fired from Swift, which was a great news. When I got fired from Swift, I went to a cheaper company. But when you are new in trucking, you don't know how to find a good job. One of the cheapest company was Balkan Express. Balkan Express, they give you the truck, the key, and they never ask you what to do. You can go anywhere, you can do anything. If you call the company, you will not find somebody to answer the phone, which was a good thing. It's good and bad. The good thing is that you have nobody to bother. The bad thing is that you are very cheap. They don't pay you when you drive in town for 50 miles between the loads. between the drop and the hook, between the shipper and the receiver, 50 miles you don't get paid. They are very cheap on the detention, like $12 an hour if you are detained as a customer, and you have to fight for it. They ask you to fill a lot of paperwork and put them in an envelope. And by the end of the year, they screw you up badly by not paying the state taxes. So after I left Barker Express, I discovered that they did not pay the state taxes. I was fined $2,500 fine plus the taxes I have to pay for the state. The reason I left Barker Express was because I made an accident. I hit a fire hydrant at a shipper, and every truck driver goes to the shipper when they do to that shipper, they do the same mistake. They hit the same fire hydrant, the city fixes it. Balkan said it cost $800 to fix the fender, and they have to charge me for it. How does he do that? He said, we lower your pay from 38 cents per mile to 36 per mile until you get paid, you finish the payment for the damage. I said, that is not a problem. After I paid the $800 for the damage, for the accident, I cannot find anybody to answer the phone to get me back to the 38 cents per mile. 38. After so many trials to find somebody to answer the phone, I called Swift Bank. You take me? They said, yes, we'll take you. You already been away for 8 months, we'll take you back. I forgot. Between Balkan Express and Swift, I worked for Simon Express, Kelly Transport, one of the cheapest, worst transportation. They changed their name now from Kelly Transport Service. They changed the name twice to Simon Transport and to another name. Kelly Transport was a problem because the owner of the company, Simon, makes his wife dispatch drivers. So his wife overrides the operator, the dispatch, and hits you with like 3 or 5 loads in a line. You cannot turn the load down. Well, you cannot manage 3 loads. You have to finish one load to start the other one. When you run into problem, they call you, they harass you. Why can't you do the next one on time? He said, I was in Los Angeles. You cannot control the time in Los Angeles. Well, you get in problem with these people. I quit Simon because one day they gave me a load that have 10 stops. 10 in town. Then I called them, do you expect me to deliver the 10 stops? They said, yes, you have to do that. That is how the road is designed. Here is where I quit. I quit Simon after a month and a half. When I reapplied for Swift, I went for their orientation in Texas, finished the 3-day orientation. Then when they wanted to give me the key for the truck, they said they have no truck for me. They have to send me home. to pick the truck from another terminal. That means they are going to put me on a Greyhound bus home. I said, no Greyhound anymore. During that period, about few hours of arguing about the truck, where should I pick the truck from, I called Crete. Would you take me? He said yes. Crete refused to take me before. At that time, Crete agreed to take me. I was already in the orientation with Swift. They put you in days in, 2 people in a room. Swift. In a flea bug infested days in motel. Once Crete agreed to take me, I said I leave days in. Crete sent me a taxi cab. They took me from days in. They put me in La Quinta, almost a 5-star hotel, a beautiful, nice hotel. Even though my orientation with Crete was 5 days ahead, they agreed to keep me in the hotel in Texas for 5 days until my orientation started. Swift wanted to give me the key for the truck or to move me somewhere else. I said, forget it, won't happen. Fortunately, Crete started me at 46 cents per mile. From the 36 by Balkan. I enjoyed Crete for a while, for 3 years. Crete was okay, much better than Swift. In Crete, the biggest advantage with Crete is that you do not see anybody other than the shop. You don't see your manager, you don't see the dispatch, everything on the phone. They send you the violation if you have any violation on the by mail, by United States mail. If you have any points up or down, they send it by mail. And the biggest problem was that you don't go home. I quit Crete after I discovered that they did not pay me detention for a year and a half. I discovered by accident that all my detentions at the shipper and the receiver and the detention at the layover, about maybe 5 or 6 days layover, I wasn't paid layover for a year and a half. When I discovered the problem, I argued with them. Of course, they knew that they have to pay me the detention mandatory by law. What was the problem? The problem, they said I did not file paperwork for detention. I said I filed electronic documents to prove that I was detained every time, from the beginning and the end. They said that is not sufficient, mandatory, I have to do that. After I talked to the right people on the payroll, the human resources, they said not a problem, it will take a while to get my money back. How long it will take? They said you have to go back to do the calculation. The terminal manager of Crete said it is not going to happen that I will get my money back. I said that is a violation. Anyway, they agreed to pay the money back, all the money that they did not pay me for a year and a half. During that period, they took about a month and a half, 2 months. during that period, I started calling companies. I called Walmart. Walmart is very hard to get to. First, they cannot hire you unless they have opening. Second, the opening have to be within 250 miles from your home. Third, you have to have 30 months of experience. I have that. Fourth, you have to have a reasonable number of violations. I don't remember how many. I think no more than 2 violations or 3 in 3 years. You cannot have any fatal accident in your entire life. You cannot have any drug or alcohol for 10 years. With Walmart, the hiring is mostly electronic. If you pass the requirements, the 5 requirements, you get a personal on the phone interview, which is very simple. They ask you if you accept slip seating, if you live within the 250 miles, if you have the experience. They ask you very simple questions, but even though they are simple, some people fail the interview because some people are not very smart. When you get a job interview, you have to be very flexible. You have to use an expression all the time like, no problem, no problem, no problem. When you get hired, you can manage. But if you try to think that you are the boss and they have to attend to your needs, you're not going to get a job. For example, in Walmart, you cannot have animals in the truck. The rider policy is 1 person first degree. You cannot have 2 children, your own children or your wife and your child in the truck. I don't think they change. That is a stupid policy for Walmart. But Walmart is owned by people from Arkansas, so they are very backward people, hard-headed, not very open-minded. They do a good business because they pay you money, but when you talk about having a pet, a cat or a dog, no. Why not? Because they're stupid. Why can't you have your own family in the truck? Because they are stupid. Well, you're driving the truck. Why does he have to tell you what to do? He said, well, that's their truck, their reputation, their image, all this nonsense. You have to put up with it if you want to work for Walmart. You are going to get something good from them, something very good. Not only the money, they will pay you 89 cents per mile. The way it works is simple. The mileage on paper is 49 cents per mile. But they are going to compensate you for the layover when you sleep in the truck, $42 per night. Every time you sleep in the truck, you are going to sleep in the truck 4 nights a week. That is over $170 or $168 a week just sleeping in the truck. They pay you for drop and hook. They pay you for arrive and departure. They pay you for detention with no argument. You don't file any paper for detention. After 45 minutes, you automatically get paid for the detention. You get paid when you have a traffic highway closure. You pay yourself on the Qualcomm. Not Qualcomm now, it is Science platform. And when you start the road closure and end it. Nobody will ask you why you did that. You get paid automatically for road closure, but you have to enter it. If you have to change the trailers, you get paid for it. If you go for a lecture or a seminar or a computer learning, you have to pay yourself for it. You enter the duration, the beginning and the end. That is not a problem, but you have to enter the time where you have to have activity related to your work. That is an excellent, outstanding thing with Walmart. That you don't file any paperwork for paying yourself for any activity related to your job. You average everything in your W-2 form at the end of the year. You get paid exactly 89 cents per mile. But as a matter of fact, you get paid more than that because Walmart is an outstanding paid time off. Every year you will make minimum 20-30 days paid time off. Imagine, paid time off means every week you work 5 days, you make something like 0.8 of a day. After 45 weeks, you're making like 25 days paid time off. So you can take your time off will be a month and a half because you are going to take the time off are work days. Plus the 2 days you have a week, every week, 5 days paid time off. So you take the 2 days before it's your week ends off, and the 2 days after it, that is 4 days, plus your 5 days, that would be 9 days you are away from work. If you take a month and a half every year away from work, all your injuries will recover, will heal. So once I worked for Walmart, I was still limping. I still having wraps around my knees to the ankle, both knees, very tight wraps to get the swelling away from my knees. I still have the spasm in my thigh on my right side, the clutching knees, the clutching leg. I still have injury in my back from crate. When I moved to Walmart, the first time we moved to Walmart, they did not have trucks. So I used to switch the truck. Usually, they give you a truck for a whole week. Sometimes you have a problem, you change the truck twice. That is only in the first 5 or 6 months. If you pass the 6 months, you will have an assigned truck. It will become your truck. It does not mean you can take it home. In Walmart, you cannot take the truck home. Period. So the fact that Walmart is really an ass-kicking transportation company, they are so good in finding ways to keep you happy and smiling. First, you get a lot of holiday gifts, a lot of greetings, birthday gifts, a safety bonus every 3 months. You have a safety bonus. You have a safety bonus on paid time off. So they do everything to make you financially secure. By the end of the year, you are going to make between 90,000, 100,000, 110,000. Some people make more than 110,000 a year. Assuming that you are away from California from the coastal places, Florida, California, New York, if you work inside the country, you are going to make between 90,000 110,000 a year. The most important thing is that you are going to recover from injuries. If you don't take your time off, that is a month. A month means $7,000 in your pocket. You get $7,000 extra by selling your time off, and another $7,000 by working. That's $14,000 just for not taking your paid time off. $14,000 you can put them on a down payment for a house or a car. Some people complain that you cannot take your truck home. When I came to Walmart, I have no car, no personal car, because I used to work for treats. I go home once a month for 2 or 3 days. I used Uber for a while to go from my home to Walmart. It was very expensive, like $40, even sometimes $110 one way. If I cannot find an Uber, I have to call a taxi. The taxi will charge me $100, $110, just 45 miles out of town, or 50 miles. Is it worth it? Absolutely. Another advantage, they give you about 11 pants and 21 shirts, and they wash them for you. And they ask you not to work with your hands or anything. Anything goes wrong with the truck, they fix it. The good thing is that if you don't ask them to fix the truck, they come around and get the truck when you are away. And most of the time they fix everything. Broken glass, dropped chip on the windshield, they replace the entire windshield, or they fix it with some kind of glass glue. They replace all the tires without asking them. Walmart shops are outstanding, excellent people in terms of fixing everything on time with no problem, and they will not take a chance. One time there was a problem with a lamp, a marker, a signaling marker. The truck was brand new. Every time I put the lamp, it burns. When I took it to the shop, they said, we cannot find the problem, we have to keep the truck. They give me another truck. Another time there was an air leak. They said it will take longer time. They insisted to keep the truck. They err on the right side, the safety side. If there is a problem, they will not let you out of the DC without either fixing it or giving you another truck. The fact that they always smile and kind, it's a policy. And when you are smiling by law or by force or because of the regulation, you will get used to smiling. Is there corruption at Walmart? Well, corruption is everywhere. But in Walmart, if you know your rights, you can fight and you can get things straightened out. Of course, some people get fired for mistakes that are not their fault. The most common mistakes that I saw happening are loading dock violation. You hook into the trailer without looking at the platform or whether the plate is down or not, or whether there are people in the trailer or not, or whether there is a conveyor in the trailer or not. That is the problem. I saw it happening maybe 3 times. People get fired because of hooking or moving a trailer with people in the trailer. That is not supposed to be their fault. It's supposed to be Walmart's fault. That is a federal violation, because you're supposed to restrict the trailer when the driver have to connect to it. A truck driver is not a bus driver. Why would you get fired for hooking a trailer? Why would you get fired for hooking to a trailer with people in it? People are not supposed to be in it. Supposed to have a protocol to keep people away from the trailer as long as the trailer is not restricted or secured. Anyway, if you don't know how to read the federal safety regulation and how to defend yourself, they screw you. Yes, they fire people. And the people that were fired, they don't know how to talk. I made that mistake. I hooked to a trailer with people in it. But I did not move. The people screamed, they shouted, they called the safety manager. They did not shout to me. They did not tell me anything. But the safety manager got crazy about it, started screaming and yelling. He got fired. He got fired for screaming at me. I wasn't fired. Well, his problem was that asking me, screamed and yelled at me, how did you get to a trailer? How did you hook to a trailer with people in it? He was very vulgar and mean. He was fired anyway. I told him, man, I have a real job. You are a paper pusher. Well, we started talking back and forth, but the poor guy wasn't aware that the minute long shouting at me ruined his career. Since that incident, they left me alone. So there is corruption at Walmart, yes, of course. Everywhere there is corruption. But if you do the right thing, well, the right thing alone is not going to help you. If you don't know how to fight for your rights, the right thing is not going to do any good. I have to file an ethics complaint because if I trusted transportation manager, he's going to cover up. The human resources will cover up. So I have to go around all these people, file an ethics complaint just to document the incident. The saying goes, if it is not documented, it didn't happen. If you don't put it on paper and make it officially, whether by mail, by email, you have to have a document that proves that you documented the incident. That way you can protect yourself in the future if you have to go to court. I hope you won't, because courts, they're not very kind to the plaintiffs. Don't expect to go to court and doing anything, because you move from a corrupt situation at work to a corrupt situation in the court. So how does Walmart manage the miles, the hours, the pay, and the constant effort to make the truck driver happy? First, you have to know the incentives Walmart is the wealthiest company in the nation or in the world. We have over 34,000 stores in America. Every store has to support a town. So the truck driver is a very essential worker in Walmart. Because of that, they do everything possible to attract and retain drivers. It does not mean that your manager or your safety manager are working for the welfare of Walmart. Your safety manager might be a jerk. Your general transportation manager might be a crook. They might harass you and make your life miserable. It is a balance. You know your rights, you do the right thing, you can stand on your feet and survive, because the manager will tell you that we are here to help you, we are here to support you, all this nonsense. But once you have a problem, the manager is sitting there for 20 or 17 years in his desk. He assumes that all truck drivers are dispensable. He can get rid of you, get another person. Well, you think that they are going to treat the truck driver differently. Yes, they do. The company wants you to be the most important person. But your manager fights for his family, for himself, to keep his seat. It is a longevity battle. He wants to keep his seat. And you want to keep your job. And you want to keep your job. If you want to keep your job, you have to learn how to fight. You have to learn how to do the right thing. You have to learn that the manager will take advantage of your weakness if you exhibit weakness, whether weakness of not adhering to the rules and regulation or weakness not be able to talk back and understand that you have rights. In Walmart, your job is to deliver to the stores and sometimes to go to the shippers and pick up bag hauls. So your job is mostly regional, not local, not OTR. You are not working nationally. You don't run from coast to coast or from border to border. You're working in a region with a radius about 1,000 miles. 1,000 miles at most. Most of the time, the longest trip from your DC would be 1,000 miles, one way. So if you have 1,000 miles one way, you go back and forth, so that will take 4 days. You have another day, give you a local 2 or 3 trips in the local area, you make the 2,500 miles. The average weekly mileage in Walmart DCs is no more than 2,200 miles per week per driver. That is the average. No more than 2,200. You can make sometimes 2,500. The most you can make is 2,800 miles per week. That is the most. But your average as a truck driver will range between 2,200 miles to 2,400 miles per week. Because of the overlap of the hours of service, overlap with the dispatch availability, overlap with the truck stops, places where you take breaks, overlap with the locations of Walmarts and the DCs. The 4 layers of overlap will make it hard for you to break the 2,500 miles per week. If you work for treats, you can make 3,000 miles per week sometimes. Will create average every month. Create averages the mileage every month. So when I worked for Crete, I started by 9,000 miles a month and ended by 11,000 miles a month. So my average was a month between 9 and 11,000 in Crete. That make it, because at Crete you don't take any PTO, it's only 1 week a year at most. If you work for Crete over 2 years, that's 2 weeks a year time off vacation, and they are very cheap in that. Remember, Crete, when you have no dispatch, they call you for example before the Thanksgiving or the Christmas or the New Year. They want you to go to work. When you go to work, they have no dispatch for you. You call them back, I have no dispatch for today. They say, because it's a holiday. Well, are you going to pay me? They said, no, we cannot pay you. There is no freight. We only pay you when we have to. If they pay you for a layover, if they do, because if they force you to take that time off, they pay you $125 a day. 125. In Walmart, they never put you on a truck stop without pay. If they have to, it will be your average. Your average means between $270 a week. A day, not a week. 270 to 350 a day. So in Walmart, it never happened. If you have to stay in a truck stop for a day or 2 days, or you have to stay at the dealer, that's $300 per day. And you don't fight for it. Another advantage was Walmart. They don't, you can say advantage, you can say disadvantage. They don't track you by GPS. They can, they have the facility. They can find you where you are. But they don't do that in operation, and when you go to the office, to the dispatch, the operation, they don't have any way to track you, which means if you don't have time to stop to send a message to ask them not to cancel your next trip because they don't know where you are, or they don't try to find where you are, they cancel your trip, the future trip, because it did not end the previous trip. So they do have this glitch in the system, or the old habit, the tradition of not trying to spy on you. So they do not want to find where you are or which route you took, because if they do like a cheap company like Simon, Kelly Transport, one day they sent me a message. They said, you have to take the route that was sent to you electronically. You cannot take any other route, because Kelly Transport does not want to pay for tolls. They want you to take the roads that are toll free, which will get you in trouble, because you are going to stop local streets, in many local streets, to bypass Chicago, to go from Illinois to Indiana. They do not want you to pay for the tolls. So Kelly Transport will force you to take certain routes. Swift can tell which direction you're going on in a highway, how fast you're going. Swift can call you, tell you are very slow. Can you speed up? You are going in the wrong direction. Why did you take that route, not that route? Swift also will force you to use very specific truck stops to fuel at certain times with certain amount of gallons. That is how screwed up Swift is. In Walmart you have the fuel card. You can fuel anywhere. You can buy all the hygiene stuff, the cleaning stuff the truck needs with no restriction. And nobody will tell you why did you buy this stuff or that stuff. When you try to buy something with Walmart card and the cashier tell you it refused it, it rejected the product. The rejection is not because of the product. The rejection is because the product is expensive. For example, you wanted to buy the windshield fluid from Flying J. How much? A bottle is for $3, 40 cents, 49 cents. The card will refuse it. Why? Because you can buy it from Walmart under $2. You want to pay for parking, like reserved parking. Most of the time you can. But if you cannot, because of some policy or some truck stops, you can pay cash and get the receipt and send it to Walmart. They will not argue with you. They will give you your money back. In many ways, in a sense, in Walmart, you feel that you are appreciated. Of course, there is another side to the story. No matter how much money you make, the fact is that you cannot do your homework with your children every night. You cannot see your children every night. You cannot see your wife every night. So a truck driver inherently loses a lot. You lose your family. You lose the chance that to get your kids to come well educated. You cannot substitute a person by money. Child needs the father not only to bring food home. Child have to grow up, model an adult. The presence of a person in the life of a child is enormous. A lot of people will have to divorce because the trucking business is sitting in a seat on your driving seat for 11 hours. You're not going to have a great sex life. You will need at least 2 or 3 days to recover to be able to have your health back. But the common trend is that most truck drivers at Walmart are over the age of 50. And the majority of them have retired from their jobs. So they come to Walmart, either they discover it by accident or they made research, because truck drivers are notorious for being ignorant. I remember one day have discussion with few truck drivers. One of them was from Florida. I asked him, why do you have to be an owner operator? Why don't you come to Walmart? Of course, when you talk to somebody, when you are a truck driver, the other person thinks that you are trying to make money for yourself by being a recruiter for Walmart. So he thinks that I'm trying to get him hired by Walmart so I can make money. That's stupid because Walmart drivers make more money than anybody else. Not going to wait for $1,000 or $2,000 after 6 months to get somebody to get hired, because you cannot get people hired by being a recruiter. That doesn't work. But anyway, that poor guy was from Florida. He said he is too old. How old are you? He said very soon he will be 2 years, he will be 70 years and he is going to retire. I told him I am over 70. I came to Walmart after I retired. That's not an excuse. He said he cannot drive a truck without having his dog and his wife. Well, he cannot do that with Walmart. He said Walmart does not allow him to take the truck home. Well, that is also he cannot do. Another person was working for KKW in California, and he was making like 45 cents per mile. He has experience over 20 years. I asked him, why don't you come to Walmart? Give me the stupidest answer. He said, my company is employee owned. I said, what? He said, the employees own the company. I said, are you stupid? Employee owned or not? This is just a slogan. How much money you take home? You take home 45 cents per mile. That's all what you make. 45 cents per mile means $45,000 a year. That money is going to be spent on junk food. Well, he was a smoker, overweight, and you can tell if the guy is telling you the company is employee owned. What do you expect of him? Expect you have to be an idiot. That is not an argument you make for a discussion. Why can't you move to? Of course, you might think that I'm trying to steal him from his company to get him to Walmart so I can make money. If he thinks that way, I cannot help him. Why would I waste time talking to him? It is a kind of a game. You enjoy the experience of talking to people and see how his mind works. And sometimes you run into decent, smart people. Sometimes you run into poor, dumb people. Sometimes you run into people who appreciate the discussion. What do I get out of it? It is a curiosity habit. Curiosity to be able to talk to people and learn from them. I learned a lot of things from just talking to people. In one incident, the person was young and he was only 1 year with Swift. So I asked him how much money you make with Swift. He said 24 cents per mile. I said, what? He said 24? He said yes. When he have a shorter run, he make 35. I said, are you serious or are you joking to me? Or he said no. So I thought Swift, when I left Swift, I was making 36 cents per mile. 5 years later, the guy, the same person, a beginner, who was making less than 34 cents per mile. So it's not going up, it's going down. That poor guy kept calling me every week, asking me to help him to get a job with Walmart. I explained to him the process. that I have no way of helping him. But I told him I can only tell you what to do when you get the interview. And you cannot get the interview unless you pass the 5 tests. You have to have 30 months of experience. You have to be within 250 miles from the DC. You have to have a vacancy for you. You have to have less than 3 tickets violation. You cannot have drug or alcohol. You cannot have accidents. I explained to him. Anyway, he still thought that I can pull some strings inside and to call somebody and get him hired. Which is okay with me because he was young. But at least he was able to absorb the fact that Walmart is a place to be. Is it good for young people? If I was young in his age, or when I was young in his age, he was like 24, 25. It would have been impossible for me to ever think about driving a truck. When I was in my 50s, when I was married, there is no chance that I can drive a truck. You cannot be married and have and go away from home. If you can, good luck. But mostly you cannot. There is no meaning for being married and going home and coming back every month or some people go home every week, like Walmart. I'm not sure it's a good idea, but everybody has his own life. Sometimes it's better to give your wife all your money to leave you alone. Go out and make money, give your money to your wife, and stay away from the headache of fighting with a woman. You fight with a woman, you never win. It's a lose-lose situation. If you have children, you do not want to lose your marriage, because children don't do good with divorce.